Before everything fell apart, Abosede was the kind of woman whose name carried warmth. When people spoke about her, their faces softened. She lived in the lively heart of Ibadan, in a small compound painted the color of faded cream. Children ran through the corridor every morning, shouting, "Auntie Abosede! Auntie Abosede!" because she always had sweets in her pockets. Her life was simple but full. She was a tailor, young and ambitious, with gifted fingers that could turn any piece of fabric into something beautiful. From the moment dawn painted the sky with gold, you could hear the hum of her sewing machine spilling through the window. But Abosede's real gift wasn't just sewing, it was her heart. She had this habit of loving people too deeply, of trusting too quickly. If someone was hungry, she would share her food. If someone cried, she would cry with them. Her friends used to tell her she was too soft. "Now this your soft heart go put you for trouble one day," her neighbor Mama Shade once warned, shaking her head. Abosede would only laugh. "Love no dey kill person, Mama. Now wickedness dey kill friendship." Among all her friends, there was one who stood out, Tayo. Tayo was different, bold, stylish, and always full of plans. Where Abosede was calm and thoughtful, Tayo was loud and spontaneous. They were complete opposites, but somehow their friendship made sense. It began years ago when they met at the local market. Abosede was still struggling to build her tailoring business, sitting under an umbrella with just one sewing machine. Tayo, who ran a small fashion boutique, had brought a dress to repair. From that day, they became inseparable. They laughed together, shared food, attended weddings. They called each other sister. If you saw one, you saw the other. But behind Tayo's confident smile was a woman who always wanted more. She dreamed of big cars, foreign perfumes, and Instagram fame. And though Abosede admired her friend's ambition, there were times she felt Tayo's hunger for luxury was dangerous. Still, love blinded her. Whenever Tayo came to her shop, Abosede would drop everything. The two would sit, gossip, and plan their futures. One day, Tayo would say, "We'll both have boutiques in Lekki. You'll be my head designer." And Abosede, laughing with childlike hope, would reply, "From your mouth to God's ears." They were more than friends. They were family. Tayo was there when Abosede's father died, bringing food and staying up all night with her. Abosede, in return, helped Tayo through her heartbreak when her fiancé called off their wedding. Everyone in the neighborhood admired their bond. "This una friendship sweet like honey," people would say. But they didn't know that honey too could turn bitter when mixed with greed. One hot Tuesday afternoon, Abosede sat in her shop sewing a bright gown when Tayo burst through the curtain, her makeup smudged, eyes red from crying. "Abosede," she gasped, collapsing onto a chair. "I am finished. I am ruined." Abosede jumped up immediately, her heart racing. "Tayo, what happened? Who hurt you?" Tayo buried her face in her palms. "My business, my whole business is about to crash. The supplier in Lagos just called me. He said if I don't pay him what I owe by evening, he will take me to court. Abosede, I am doomed." The air grew heavy. The sound of the sewing machine faded as Abosede stared at her friend, speechless. "Calm down, Tayo," she finally said, kneeling beside her. "How much are we talking about?" Tayo sniffled and held up 3 fingers. 500,000. Just 500,000 naira. If I can settle him, I'll sell my remaining goods, make my profit, and pay you back in 3 months. I swear on my mother's life, Abosede. Abosede froze. 500,000 naira was almost everything she had. She had been saving that money for months, money meant for a brand new industrial sewing machine that could help her expand her shop. It was her dream, her plan, her hope. But now, looking at Tayo shaking and crying, her heart began to soften like wax before fire. "Please, Abosede," Tayo whispered, her voice cracking. "You are my only hope. I have gone everywhere. Nobody will help me. If you don't lend me this money, I'll lose everything. Abosede felt her throat tighten. She turned away for a moment, staring at the small iron box under her table, the one where she kept her savings. She could almost hear her mother's voice in her head. My daughter, never mix money with friendship. Love people, but guard your bread. She took a deep breath. Tayo, are you sure you can pay back in 3 months? I swear, Tayo cried, standing up. 3 months maximum. I can't lie to you, Abosede. You are my sister. Those words, you are my sister, broke Abosede's resistance. She walked slowly to her savings box, unlocked it, and began to count the notes. Her fingers trembled with every sound of paper brushing against paper. The room grew still. When she finished, she wrapped the money in a black nylon and handed it to Tayo. Please, don't fail me, Abosede whispered. Tayo grabbed the money, hugged her tightly, and said between sobs, God bless you, my sister. You don't know what you've done for me today. Abosede forced a smile, even though a strange unease crawled through her chest. As Tayo walked away with the money clutched in her hand, Abosede stood by the window, watching her disappear into the dusty streets. The evening wind blew softly, but her heart was heavy. Something didn't feel right, but she silenced the thought with a sigh. She is my friend, she whispered to herself. She'll pay me back. But little did she know that decision would be the beginning of a slow, painful storm, one that would test her heart, her faith, and her understanding of friendship. The sun had barely risen the next morning when Abosede sat by her sewing machine staring into space. She had barely slept. Her mind had been running in circles, filled with doubts she couldn't silence. Had she done the right thing? The 500,000 naira she gave Tayo yesterday was supposed to be her breakthrough money she had saved carefully, naira by naira, over the course of 1 year. Each note carried a memory. Long nights sewing by candlelight, missed meals, and days when her fingers bled from stitching tough fabrics. But now, the metal box where she kept her savings was empty. She reached out, opened it, and ran her fingers across the bottom as if hoping a miracle would appear. Nothing, just cold metal. Her heart twisted. She leaned back, whispering, God, please, let this not be a mistake. At that same hour, Tayo was in a noisy car park across town, her eyes darting left and right. She wasn't crying anymore. In fact, her voice was steady as she argued with a trader over the phone. No, I can't send 200,000 naira. I said 250,000. Take it or leave it. When the trader finally agreed, Tayo smiled faintly. Relief flooded her face. She ended the call, leaned back and sighed deeply. It go better, she murmured. I just need to turn this deal around. But Tayo's definition of deal was complicated. She wasn't just paying a supplier. She was also trying to cover a growing list of personal debts and expenses she's hidden from everyone, even Abosede. Meanwhile, back in the market, Abosede tried to bury her worries in work. She focused on her stitches, determined not to regret her kindness. Every time her mind wandered, she would whisper to herself, Tayo is my friend. She will keep her word. That evening, Tayo called. Abosede, I've settled everything. God will bless you for helping me. Don't worry. By the time I sell my new goods, I'll return your money with extra. Abosede smiled weakly. Just make sure you are okay, Tayo. That's what matters. Don't worry, Tayo said, laughing lightly. You'll even thank me later when you see how far my business has gone. That laughter, carefree and confident, soothed Abosede's worries. For a moment, she believed everything was fine. Days turned to weeks. Tayo's calls became less frequent, her visits fewer. When she did come around, it was usually in a hurry. She would rush into Abosede's shop, drop her bag on a chair, and start scrolling on her phone. Business is crazy these days, she'd say. I can't even breathe. Abosede would smile. pretending not to notice the new wristwatch glinting on Tayo's hand or the fresh set of acrylic nails she was tapping on her phone screen. One afternoon, as they sat together, Tayo's phone rang. Her tone changed instantly. "Hello, baby," she said sweetly. "Yes, I got the transfer. You too sweet, Jare. I'll see you later tonight." Abosede's needle paused mid-air. Her eyes darted to Tayo, confusion clouding her face. "Transfer?" But she said nothing. After Tayo left, Abosede sat there, staring at the door. A deep, unsettling feeling began to creep through her chest. She wanted to believe the best, but something about Tayo's recent behavior didn't feel right. 3 months came and went, no word about the money. At first, Abosede reminded her gently, "Tayo, it's been 3 months now. You said you'd pay back." Tayo waved it off. Calm down, Abosede. Business is just rough this period. But once I collect from some clients, I'll send it immediately. Abosede nodded. "Okay, I understand." But as weeks passed, Tayo began to avoid her. Calls went unanswered, messages read but not replied. Sometimes Abosede would see her online, posting new pictures with expensive wigs, cocktails, and captions like "soft life or nothing." Each post cut deep. At night, Abosede would sit in her small room staring at her phone, scrolling through Tayo's page. The glow from the screen made her face look pale, tired. She whispered to herself, maybe she forgot, maybe she's waiting for the right time. But deep down, she knew Tayo hadn't forgotten. One hot afternoon, Abosede's landlady came knocking. "Abosede, my daughter, the rent is due. You said you'd pay this month." Abosede froze. "Yes, ma, I know. I'm expecting money soon." She wasn't expecting any money, not really. She had counted on Tayo's repayment to settle the rent and still have enough left to buy her machine. Now, with every delay, she was drowning in quiet panic. When the landlady left, she sat on the floor of her shop, head bowed, tears spilling silently. She whispered, "God, why did I do this? Why did I trust her?" Her assistant, Ifeoma, watched quietly from the corner, unsure whether to speak. Finally, she said softly, "Auntie, sometimes even good people make bad decisions." Abosede looked up at her. "But she's my friend." Ifeoma hesitated. "Sometimes that's the problem." 2 weeks later, Abosede decided to confront Tayo properly. She woke up early, put on a clean dress, tied her hair neatly, and took a bus to Tayo's boutique. Her heart pounded with each bump on the road. When she arrived, Tayo was standing outside, laughing with 2 women. Her voice was loud, confident. She looked radiant, wearing a silk top and designer shoes. "Abosede," Tayo exclaimed, her smile fading slightly when she saw her. "What's up now?" Abosede tried to stay calm. "Tayo, I've been trying to reach you. We need to talk about the money." Tayo's face stiffened. "Which money?" Abosede blinked, confused. "The 500,000 naira I lent you 3 months ago." Tayo rolled her eyes dramatically. "Abosede, I beg. Must you talk about this money everywhere? You want to embarrass me?" The 2 women beside her exchanged awkward glances. Abosede's heart dropped. "Embarrass you? Tayo, I just want what's mine. You promised." Tayo folded her arms. "And I said I will pay. Abi, did I run away? You think I'm enjoying myself? You know how business is now." Her voice grew sharp. People began to look their way. Abosede's face burned with shame. She swallowed hard and whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to embarrass you. I just need my money back." Tayo sighed loudly, turning away. "You are beginning to sound desperate. I don't like that energy." Abosede stood there, frozen. The world around her blurred. The laughter, the passing cars, the noise all faded. In that moment, she realized something deep and painful. The friendship she thought was built on love was built on convenience. And now that she had nothing more to give, Tayo was already walking away. As Abosede turned to leave, Her vision blurred with tears. She stumbled into the street, clutching her bag tightly. Her chest ached, not just from losing money, but from losing something far greater, trust. That night, she sat alone, the sound of rain hitting her roof. Her shop was dark, her spirit heavier than the storm outside. She whispered into the silence, "I should have listened. I should have known better." But it was too late. The seed of regret had already been planted, and from that seed, pain would soon bloom. The days after that confrontation felt like walking barefoot through fire. Abosede's world began to crumble slowly, one piece at a time. Her shop, once full of chatter and laughter, grew quiet. Customers still came, but the joy was gone. She sewed mechanically, her hands moving, but her mind lost somewhere between anger and disbelief. Each time the door creaked open, her heart jumped, hoping it was Tayo coming to apologize or return her money. But it was never Tayo. Instead, rumors began to crawl through the market like ants on sugar. "Have you heard?" Someone whispered one morning near the Akara stand. "They say Abosede borrowed Tayo money and now she's disturbing her for refund." "Ah, that's not good though," another replied. "Friendship should not be about money now." Abosede didn't need to hear it to know. She could feel it. The stares, the half smiles, the pitying looks from women she used to chat with. Word travels fast in the market, faster than the wind. Soon, it wasn't just whispers, it became gossip. Abosede is too greedy. She lent money and now she's fighting her best friend. She should have known Tayo doesn't like trouble. Every word was a dagger, and each one cut deep. One afternoon, as she walked quietly, a familiar laughter floated through the air. Her heart froze. Tayo's voice. She looked through the curtain of her shop and saw Tayo outside, standing with two women from the next block, laughing as if the world belonged to her. Abosede hesitated, then stepped out. "Tayo, please, can we talk?" Tayo turned slowly, her smile fading. "Talk about what?" "The money," Abosede said softly. "Please, just give me something, even if it is half." Tayo crossed her arms, eyes cold. "Abosede, stop disturbing me. You are making me lose respect for you." Abosede's voice broke. "But I trusted you. I helped you when you cried. I emptied my savings for you." The air grew tense. The two women standing beside Tayo glanced at each other, sensing the storm brewing. Tayo hissed, "Look, if you are trying to paint me as a bad person, it won't work. You gave me that money because you wanted to. Nobody forced you. And when I get it, I'll pay. Stop acting like I owe you my soul." A few traders had gathered now, pretending to mind their business but listening closely. "It has reached this level," someone muttered. Abosede's eyes glistened with tears. "Tayo, I am not asking for your soul. I just want what's mine." Tayo chuckled bitterly. "Then wait till I have it. Simple. Stop embarrassing yourself." Her words stung like acid. Abosede's lips trembled, but she said nothing. She turned around slowly and walked back into her shop, her eyes blurry with tears. The sound of Tayo's laughter echoed behind her, loud, sharp, and heartless. That night, she cried until her pillow was soaked. The pain wasn't just about the money anymore. It was betrayal. It was the shattering realization that the person she once called sister could humiliate her in public without remorse. Weeks turned into months and life grew heavier. Bills piled up. Her landlady gave her warnings. Her sewing machine broke down one evening while she was working, and she didn't have enough to repair it. The stress began to eat her alive. She would sit outside her shop sometimes, staring blankly at the road, her eyes hollow. Ifoma, her apprentice, noticed. "Auntie, you've not eaten since morning." "I'm fine," Abosede would reply, her voice faint. But she wasn't fine. She was drowning. Each night, she replayed everything in her mind. How she handed Tayo the money, how Tayo promised, how she believed. It was like watching a slow-motion video of her own heartbreak. One Sunday after church, she decided to try again. Hope, foolish as it was, still lived in her heart. She dialed Tayo's number. Hello? Tayo's tone was cold. Yes, Tayo, it's me, Abosede. Please, I just want to know when you return my money, even if it's small. A deep sigh came through the line. Abosede, you are disturbing me. I told you I'll pay when I can. Don't call me again about this. You are acting desperate. Before Abosede could respond, the call ended. She stared at the phone, speechless. Her heart pounded in her chest like a drum. Tears filled her eyes, and she whispered, Desperate? After all I did? She didn't know that things were about to get worse. A few days later, she got a message from one of her loyal customers, Auntie Bisi, a wealthy woman who often gave her big orders. Abosede, please cancel that gown order. I've found another tailor. I heard you and Tayo had money issues. I don't want drama around my business. Her fingers trembled as she read it. Money issues, she muttered, clutching her chest. Then the second message came. Tayo said you are not reliable. I don't want any stories. That was the breaking point. Abosede sat on the floor of her shop and cried like a wounded child. Every sob came from deep within her soul, the kind that doesn't just release pain, but memories. She remembered how she and Tayo once ate garri together when things were tough, how they shared dreams and secrets, how Tayo once called her my backbone. Now, the same Tayo had turned her into a cautionary tale. The next day, a neighbor named Kemi came to see her. Abosede, I don't know if I should tell you this, but Tayo had been telling people that you are jealous of her success. Something inside Abosede broke. For the first time in her life, she felt hatred rise in her chest. It was hot, dark, and foreign. She wanted to scream, to curse, to fight, but instead she sat quietly, shaking her head as tears rolled down her cheeks. Jealous? She whispered. I helped her. I gave her everything I had. Kemi placed a hand on her shoulder. Some people forget kindness when life starts smiling at them. That night, as thunder rolled outside and rain poured heavily on the roof, Abosede sat alone in the darkness. The power was out. Her sewing machine sat silent in the corner, and her room smelled of damp clothes and heartbreak. She hugged herself tightly and whispered, Never again will I let friendship blind me. But life wasn't done testing her. A week later, she saw Tayo again at a wedding. The music was loud, the air filled with laughter. Tayo walked in wearing a bright yellow gown, holding a glass of champagne, her face glowing with pride. Abosede was sitting at the back, quiet, helping adjust the bride's dress. Their eyes met across the room. Tayo smirked, lifted her chin, and looked away as if she didn't know her. That small gesture, the turning away, hurt more than every insult combined. It was final. It was the silent confirmation that their friendship was dead. Abosede left before the event ended. She walked home under the dim streetlights. The night air smelled of dust and betrayal. She whispered to herself, so this is how trust dies? And as she stepped into her small room, her heart heavy yet strangely clear, she knew one truth. When money enters friendship, love often walks out. One rainy Saturday, inside Abosede's small fashion shop, the hum of the sewing machine had gone silent. She was packing up for the day, carefully folding unfinished clothes and switching off the iron when the door creaked open. Two women walked in, their voices loud, their conversation careless. They were both regular faces, customers who often came to adjust their dresses or gossip while waiting. Abosede, you are still open? One of them laughed, shaking rain from her umbrella. Abosede smiled tiredly. I want clothes small, my sister. Today don't tire me. But the other woman waved dismissively, holding up a torn lace gown. Abeg, help us check this dress. We want repair am before Tayo's event next week. Abosede blinked. Tayo's event? Yes now. Her new fashion show for her brand, Tayo Luxe Designs. You haven't heard? Abosede froze mid-step. Tayo what? The first woman frowned, confused by Abosede's expression. You haven't heard that Tayo has opened a very fine shop with AC and glass door. She says she has a new tailor now, one lady from Lagos that is more experienced and talented than you. Wait, Abosede said slowly, her voice unsteady. Tayo said what? The women exchanged a look, then laughed lightly, not sensing the storm rising in Abosede's chest. She said you are too emotional, one said casually, that you don't take business serious, that she even taught you some of your designs. But don't mind her, Jare, we still love your work. But Abosede didn't hear the compliment. Her ears buzzed, her vision blurred. It was as if someone had poured cold water into her soul. Her hands trembled as she set down the dress. You mean Tayo? My Tayo said that? The women nodded innocently. Yes now, we even saw her yesterday. She told us to come to her new tailor because she doesn't want her clients waiting too long in your place. They laughed again, unaware they had just ripped something apart inside the woman standing before them. Abosede's heart pounded wildly. Every memory of Tayo flashed before her. The 500,000 loan she gave her from her savings without blinking because Tayo had cried and said, "You are my only hope." Her throat tightened. The air felt heavy. She could barely stand. She managed to smile faintly at the women. "No problem," she whispered. "Bring the gown tomorrow." They nodded, said their goodbyes and left, chatting and laughing as they went into the rain. The moment the door closed, Abosede dropped to the floor. Her sewing pins scattered. She covered her mouth, trying to hold back the sob that escaped her chest. But it came anyway, loud, broken, helpless. Tayo had used her money to open a brand new fashion house without paying her back, without a single thank you, and with insults on top of betrayal. By the next morning, Abosede's sorrow had turned into something darker, resolve. She dressed quietly, wearing her old blue gown and slippers. She reached Tayo's new boutique, a shining building at the corner of Adetola Street. The name Tayo Lux Designs was boldly written on the glass. Expensive fabrics hung neatly on display, and music played softly inside. Abosede stood there for a while, staring at the sign like someone reading her own obituary. Then she walked in. The scent of new paint and perfume filled the air. Tayo stood at the corner, laughing with a client, looking radiant, full makeup, straight hair, a new phone glittering in her hand. When Tayo's eyes met Abosede's, the laughter died. "Abosede," Tayo said slowly, forcing a smile. "Wow, you came." Abosede's voice trembled. "So it's true. You told people I'm unprofessional. You took my customers. You called me emotional. Tayo, after everything I did for you?" Tayo's face tightened. "I didn't mean it that way. Business is business. You know how customers can be. I just had to." "Had to what? Destroy me?" Abosede shouted, her voice cracking. "You used my sweat to open this place. My trust built your shop." Tayo looked away. "You are being dramatic. I was going to pay you back." "When?" Abosede cried, tears spilling freely. "After you finished dragging my name in the mud?" Tayo's tone hardened. "Enough, Abosede. You lent me money. I'll pay you, but don't make it look like you built my success. I worked for this too." Abosede laughed, a bitter, broken laugh that came from her stomach. "You worked for it? With whose money, Tayo? Who gave you the foundation you are standing on? You used friendship like a ladder, and when you reached the top, you kicked it down." Tayo's face flushed with anger. "I don't have time for this," she snapped, turning away. Abosede's voice shook as she said, "One day, you will understand what it means to lose peace for profit." Tayo didn't respond. She only crossed her arms, pretending not to care. Weeks later, Tayo's empire began to crack. Suppliers started complaining that she owed them money. Clients returned clothes that were poorly sewn by her new Lagos tailor. Her staff began stealing. Rumors spread that Tayo was rude, arrogant, and dishonest. Then one morning, government officials came to seal her shop for unpaid business tax, something Abosede had always helped her handle before. Tayo stood outside the locked doors, watching her name board being covered with red tape. Her body trembled. Her eyes burned with tears she couldn't hold back. Her new friends had vanished. Her phone buzzed with death reminders. Her once busy boutique stood empty, cold, forgotten. And that was when she realized Abosede hadn't cost her. Life had simply returned her choices. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I was wrong." She remembered every word she had said about Abosede, every lie, every betrayal, and she broke down completely, sobbing until her chest hurt. Sometimes God doesn't strike with thunder. He lets the weight of guilt crush you slowly until you finally see yourself for who you've become. That night, Tayo met her Waterloo, and Abosede, though still rebuilding her life, finally slept with peace in her heart, not because she had won, but because justice had spoken without a word.
If you enjoyed the story, then I am certain that you will enjoy the next story showing on the screen right now. Please click on the thumbnail and watch the next story. Please support me by liking this video, share with your family and friends, and subscribe to my channel. See you in my next story. Bye.